Hey y'all! This is a video that I filmed back in October at the biggest little furry convention in Reno, Nevada. This is my first panel ever, and I was very nervous. Hopefully y'all think I did a good job with the panel. Hopefully the audio comes through well. And yeah, let's go back in time about a month and yeah, let's go to my Spacesuits and Furgonomics panel at BLFC. It's right on 11:30. I guess we'll get started. Morning, everybody. Welcome to the Spacesuits and Furgonomics panel. If you know what Furgonomics is, great. If you don't know, it's basically the ergonomics of furries, how things are made for furry characters, like chairs and just all aspects of life, like how ergonomics is for. And this panel, oh hi, just got started. This panel is meant to be a starting template, a sort of a starting guide or template for aspiring aspiring furry writers for their sci-fi universes. So. First of all, a little bit about me. I'm Rusty Ralston. I'm a non-binary space bird. I have a media degree. Hi. I have a media degree from Pellissippi State, small community college in Knoxville. I have a family of engineers, so that's why I got interested in this stuff. I've had people in my family have worked for NASA. I've had a deep love of spacesuits and all that since childhood. And I guess I was put in the tail logistics this year. So, and yeah, my love for spacesuits goes real deep, even in places where I can't talk about because this isn't an 18+ panel. Maybe next year, hopefully not. But maybe next year. But that's enough about my sad human life. What is a spacesuit? So, you probably know, but as a artist told me, Stu Cat told me, it's a vessel that takes the shape of the body, and they maintain three things. That's maintain three things. I'm getting this from Tom Scott. They have to, as Tom Scott would say, they maintain pressure, oxygen, and environmental protection. So protection from extreme heat, extreme cold, random debris, all that sort of thing. They have to have that. There's also some more other important functions like letting the user freely move about, have a means of communication with earthbound or spacebound vessels, and have a means of collecting or expelling waste products. Guess which one we're not talking about today? And there's also features that would be handy that are optional, like the means of docking to a spacecraft via a tether or a suit port, and means of protecting your eyes from, the sun and other stars. But those are optional, but all of those have to be accounted for when designing a spacesuit, and various types of spacesuits deal with this in various types of ways. Of course, you got the soft suits, the hard suits, the hybrid suits, and everyone's favorite, the skin-tight suits. Now, these suits describe themselves, basically. The soft suits are made of different types of fabrics, and often with, I'm supposed to say hard parts, but I said, I made this last night, in case you couldn't tell. They're often made with hard parts, such as, cufflings and other connectors to maintain pressure and make sure everything's connected and all that, and nothing springs a leak. These suits are mainly used for launch and landing, like as you see here, the Sokol suit or the Aces suit and all that. Hard suits, they are made up of metal and plastics, and they are made to be durable at the cost of flexibility, and they have been theorized in science fiction to be used on planets with high atmosphere. I'm dyslexic, because you couldn't tell. Planets with high atmosphere, like Venus, like a high pressure system. So They are mainly, I think, they're based on the diving suits that are, I forget, the atmospheric diving suits that are made for like when you go really deep, because we don't live in the world of the abyss. You would not get me out of one of those suits, liquid breathing suits. You wouldn't get me out of one of those. Yeah, these are just experimental. You got the one that everyone knows, the hybrid suits. They are made of hard and soft, hard upper torso but soft joints. They are most well known in pop culture. They are used mainly in spacewalks, like the Orlan or the EMU or the Artemis suit. And then you have the skin-tight suits. Now, they use the tightness of spandex or rubber to pressurize the body, which means that theoretically you're only able to pressurize the helmet, and they are called space activity suits, and they have been there's the suits in development. The MIT has been developing a biosuit that has been following this principle for future missions to Mars, that sort of thing. So, because fiction is fiction, an author doesn't have any restrictions of actually killing off their characters to the point of not being able to use them again, unlike a real person, meaning that they have more freedom to pick and choose what suit they want for their work. Depends on what the characters are doing. So characters that are, say, walking around in a moon base may prefer to have a more skin-tight suit. Lead character saying Reno. While a more I lost my place. While a character that has a character spacewalking in 0G may have a more hybrid approach, even having legs that are together for enforcement. And a piece of fiction where characters are dealing with some space war may have suits that are harder with more robotic and metal parts and all that. It all depends on the context for the design in the story. Now, the thing with anthropomorphic characters is that they always have extra limbs that aren't present on humans. Those things can't really be removed. They are integral parts of the body in many species: dogs, cats, deer, lizards, sharks. They need protection like every other body part. So I would like to start this section out with a game called What is Wrong with This Picture? So here I want y'all to point out what is wrong, what is exposed, what is fundamentally flawed with the spacesuit designs in these. And this is no hate to the artists, but this is just what do you think will be the main failure points. So here we go. All right, let's see what.
The tail.
Yep. All right. Next one. Tail. There's another one. Paws. Yeah. All right. Third one. Tail. That's very easy.
Feathers.
Tail. Yeah.
Oh, ears.
Oh, I wouldn't consider that, but yeah. There's three things wrong with this next one. Antlers, feet, hooves, and the tail.
I think the antlers could be fine because they're kind of more solid.
Well, yeah.
There's still space.
No, yeah, but there's still holes. There's still like a big hole. Yeah. All right, last one. Tail. Yeah. As you can see.
I'm really surprised that then you don't bother with the tail.
Yeah. As you can see, the tail is the most vulnerable, most overlooked part of spacesuit design, because if you have a tail, if this is real life, if you have a tail that is exposed, it will be baked and or frozen. Yeah. You will, and the hole that the tail goes through, it's still a hole. No matter how tight it is, air will still want to leak out because of the pressure.
Delta P.
Delta P. Yeah, I should have. I didn't.
Yeah. But yeah, vacuum on one side, a higher pressure on the other, air will want to go out
Yeah.
towards the vacuum.
Yeah, like if you've ever seen that crab
Yep.
walking, that's what you don't want.
Yep.
So, here are some standard tail fixes. You have, of course, the standard tail pouch. It can be made of metal or fabrics or whatnot. But there are some alternatives. You can tuck in the tail. You can attach the tail to the leg in a separate pouch. Yes.
Yeah. Well, now I'm just thinking. Yeah, there's an art. I'm not sure if you even have it, but it shows a really brilliant idea of how to do a spacesuit for an alien with wings.
Ah,
You have to show.
I think I have it on this.
Oh.
Yeah, I count. Yeah, and then there's one of my favorites, tail helmets. I just love that image. It's so cute. And speaking of helmets, I will. They are probably the most complicated thing to try and design for anthropomorphic characters because spacesuits helmets are designed obviously for human faces, and obviously human faces are relatively, compared to furries, very flat. This was actually a point in one story that I love. It's Don't Go to Mars, a Mighty Ducks cartoon fanfiction by Emily Longe. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but
I think it's pronounced Laurent.
Lorange, thank you. They only had spacesuits designed for people, and most of the characters couldn't fit in the helmet, if you know Mighty Ducks cartoon, because their beaks was too big. Mallory was the one that drew the short straw, and she is obviously, if you read the story, she is very angry about it. I recommend looking it up. But yeah, spacesuits for people weren't designed for long snouts, big ears, antlers, so you have to design them accordingly. Many artists have different ways of dealing with this. First off, you have the simplest, which is the big helmet.
Yeah.
So, oversized helmets which are unwieldy and bulky, but they fit the head of the wearer. And of course, if you want to save weight, you can just make it so that Brainot's dead, by the way. So that you can make it so that the helmet is hard and, like glass when it's worn, but when it's not worn, you can make it soft and plushable. Another solution is to have, I think the most popular solution is to have the helmet in the shape of the head, which makes it a lot more compact. And you have little indentations in the ears that make it look cute. So, or if your character doesn't have ears, you can tuck them in, but doesn't have ears. Does have ears that aren't big enough. You can tuck them in, but it's not comfortable, I will say. And if your characters have long ears, like a rabbit or a dog, then you can have sleeves for the ears. But that would pose a problem if they aren't properly tied down, because you can it's spacewalking and all that. So, of course, you also have to protect characters from being blind from the sun. So, some solutions to this include a big Apollo-style sort of big helmet that goes over the bubble helmet, like an Apollo suit. Or you can have more, those transition lenses? Yeah, you can have those, but have the entire helmet be one big transition lens, or you can do it with electroactivity or whatever. I saw it on a Vine once, but you could have ways to protect the eyes from not being damaged, like they would in real life. But what do you do about antlers? So I've seen very many different solutions for this, including the big helmet. My favorite is coming up, but I don't want to show it off because the artist said to me when I was getting permission, sure, also let me show you my latest AI experiment.
Oh.
So I politely said no. And so anyway, what they did was they put a big bellows in the helmet. And if you don't know what bellows are, it is basically, you ever seen an accordion? You know that little thing that you squeeze? That's a bellows. And it's been used for many different ways. It's used to basically have a high pressure of air. Like those old Three Stooges shorts where they have this and they fill it with water. It's mainly used to fill it with air, and they're used in many different ways. They can be made of metal, they can be made of plastic, they can be made of a lot of things. But basically, you could have the bellows attached to the head, the helmet, and so you can make it so that it takes the shape of the antlers, it takes advantage of the antlers' growth, and hopefully they don't when it's pressurized. You can have it controlled. So that's, I feel, is a really clever solution. Shame I couldn't show it off, but I have to keep up my integrity. So it is one of those clever solutions, and there's other clever solutions out there. This is not like a how-to guide. This is more of a starting template, as I said. So yeah. Anyway, what next up we have paws and talons. What do you do about those? Well, it's actually very simple, deceptively simple. You just mold the shoes around the paws, around the talons, in that case, and you can make it like those boots that have toes, like that were all the rage in the early 2010s. I wanted one, and then they got recalled. I don't know why. But yeah, you design boots in the way that takes the shape of the paws and the talons and all that. And of course, when you're dealing with paws, you're also dealing with legs. That's not the full story. So we have to have digigrade and plantigrade. We have to have that conversation. So plantigrade, if you don't know, standing on the soles, and digigrade standing mainly on the toes, like digits. So when you make pants and boots for a digigrade furry character, anthro character, you basically have to reinvent the shoe and reinvent where that shoe attaches to the body. And it's not as simple as it looks. So it could lead to mobility issues, because if you make part of the shoe too hard, or make it so that you can't really move the knee well, it could be, it's not ideal when you're walking around on, like, say, a foreign planet, extraterrestrial planet. So there is a miracle solution, though, which is the arm joints of the Sokol suit. I've seen this in action from my friend Peter. He's at the con. He's doing a panel right here, exactly 24 hours from now, about cooling in space, how spacesuit cooling can be used to cool fursuits. And he also builds suits. He actually built a suit for someone I don't want to say, maybe Cody's lab, if you know him. But I wanted to keep it a surprise. But yeah, he basically used those Sokol suit arms. He basically used it for the legs, and I feel like that in my opinion, that would be a great solution to digigrade movement in dealing with digigrade legs. So that's one solution, and then we come to everyone's favorite, or I guess your favorite, wings. And I think this is the one you were talking about.
No,
Oh.
that's the one that's listed up as a completely different one.
Okay, well, yeah. Anyway, wings. Some species like birds, dragons, bats, often have these massive wings, obviously. And it's pretty interesting because it depends on where the wings are on the body. Because if they're on the back, you have to basically take the life support system and you have to make concessions about where it is, how you do it, how much air it has, if there is a backpack. But if the wings are on the arms, you have to basically have these big, massive sleeves that could or could not be movable.
How do you get through an airlock with those?
What?
How do you get through an airlock with those?
Yeah, that's another big problem. Is the bulkiness. How, if they go out or not, if they do this. And yeah, it will make you more of a hazard out on a spacewalk. And what material do you use so that if you have wings and arms, that they're flexible enough, and it's just you have to make a lot of these concessions when designing spacesuits for anthropomorphic characters. And while physical features are important, they're not the full story. As Mark Stanley, the author of the comic Freefall, pointed out this to me in an email, something I never considered until he pointed it out. Humans are visual creatures, and spacesuits are designed to reflect that. Sight is our strongest sense, but for, say, a canine character, it would be smell. Many species, sight is not visible enough. Like here we have the Florence the Wolf, who is remarking, looking at, I'm not sure if that's Earth or not. I haven't read Freefall fully enough, but she remarks that strange how something I know so big should smell so small. And that is because she's only smelling inside her suit. She's not smelling the outside. So it could give certain canine species a sense of claustrophobia, as well as give other characters like cats a sense of claustrophobia. You were about to say something?
No.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, it could instill a sense of claustrophobia, yes?
If you ever read the book Project Hail Mary, it was actually explored in great depth in there.
I have not, but I might.
Basically, not to spoil it too much, but a creature who relies solely on the sense of sound, to them, a spacesuit would be like dipping into an ocean of black paint.
Wow. Yeah. And I was about to get to that. So, and then we have touch. And I think my solution could be like have fabrics that relay different textures. And not really have much in the way of having windows in the helmet. So like moles could not really they don't have use for big windows, so they can't really have much in the way of having use. They can't see. So, and then you mentioned sound. So like for someone like a bat, it would be like jumping in an ocean of black paint. They just wouldn't be able to see anything. So I think my solution would be like using radio waves to simulate echolocation.
You want to know what their solution in the book was?
What?
Texture.
Texture.
Because they could bounce off the texture display and get a reading back from that. But they were able to translate into vision for that.
Wow. Okay, so texture, using texture, that's another thing. And that's, again, these are solutions you have to deal with when dealing with these types of characters. So, and some of you may ask, well, why am I doing this? This is fiction. You have unlimited possibilities. You can make it so the lack of air is breathable on the moon or Mars or space in general. Well, if you had any of those moments where you have a lot of time on your hands and you're just having the worst writer's block, I feel like I get that a lot, and I feel like having limitations on your universe and doing whatever, I feel like that would stimulate creativity. Having a solution to a problem that's a creative solution. I feel like that stimulates creativity more, and that's the point of this panel, is to give an idea on how to stimulate creativity. And so that's what I'm doing. And it also introduces as the what was the story?
Project Hail Mary.
Project Hail Mary. Yeah.
Maybe Weir, the same guy that did The Martian.
Okay. So Project Hail Mary, it introduces conflict, and this is I did not credit this at the end. So this is a thing by Rick Griffin, if you know him. He did Haven Celestia, and he's also better known for House Pets. But he did a big conflict, and it introduces conflict. And conflict is, you have to have conflict for science fiction. Like, if you don't have conflict, then you don't have a story. And I feel like
Conflict, that's fundamental to basically all fiction.
Yes, basically, yeah, unless you're fictionally doing a nature documentary. But even then, introducing conflict. If you introduce conflict, like I know a few writers who their biggest issue is how to have believable conflict, and believable, or at least believable in the sense of suspending fiction. And I tell them, well, what is the species you're using? How would they react to a spacesuit? How do you think they will get over that? And I sort of try and help them jog their creativity and all that. So that's a bit of like conflict, and I think this was also just a reference to some social media controversy for some TikToker. I don't know, but it's well worth having. So something good can come off of TikTok. I'm 24, but I'm old. Yeah. Anyway, and I think that's it for my presentation, surprisingly. Big thank you to the artists, and there are a lot of artists that I didn't get, but there's a lot of cool webcomics and artists that you can subscribe to. There's Order of the Black Dog, Wyvern, In Our Shadow, Oxide, Rescue, Find Avery, Orbit Encounters, Side Function, Space Odyssey. They all had help in giving me some ideas for it. And I also have a furry spacesuit channel on Telegram if you want to. It's been around for a year. And so, I would love to have, and there's a chat as well, and I would love to have more people join in my love of spacesuits and all that. It would be so nice to have y'all there, and thank you so much. This is my first panel, so I have a stutter, and it's just, thank y'all for going through it and all that. I guess, any questions? No? I guess. Do you have a question?
Nothing I can figure for the moment.
Okay, yeah, and if you have any questions, you can contact me through the Spacesuit Art chat, or you can contact me via my Telegram, which is at imrustyokay, and OKAY, and I will also leave a thing it's also in the description of the channel. So anyway, you can submit art as well, and send a link, please, and no AI submissions. And yeah, I think that's it for me. I hope y'all have a great rest of the day, and I feel like I've just had a massive weight lifted off of me. Thank you. Thanks. All right. Hey all, thanks for watching this video. A little later than I planned, but November is chaotic. As always in this family, my friend Peter the Thinker has a website below where you can see videos of him working on his spacesuits. He even made a spacesuit for Cody's lab. You can watch it all down below on his website, and yeah, links as always in the description. Thanks guys.